The Silent Defiance. The Galactic Confederation had existed for over 12,000 years, uniting thousands of spacefaring species under a single banner of supposed peace and cooperation. Their massive ring-shaped headquarters, Concordia, orbited a neutron star at the galaxy's center, a symbol of their unshakable power and technological superiority. Within its gleaming halls, representatives from across the stars debated, traded, and governed with the comfortable certainty that they understood the universe and their place in it. Humanity was never meant to challenge that certainty. The humans have sent another petition for membership, announced High Chancellor Vextora, her translucent tentacles rippling with amusement as she addressed the Grand Chamber. The seven-limbed descendant's voice echoed through the vast hall, where 200 representatives from the most powerful civilizations gathered. This marks their 12th attempt in 50 years. Laughter rippled through the assembly. The holo display showed Earth, a small blue-green planet in an unremarkable solar system, barely 2 centuries into its interstellar exploration phase. They've colonized, what, 3 systems now? Scoffed Delegate Kreth of the Valerian Empire, his scaled skin shimmering under the chamber's lights, and they believe this qualifies them for representation. High Chancellor Vextora's primary eyes narrowed. What makes this petition different is their threat. They claim that if denied again, they will consider the Confederation's position hostile to human interests. This brought even more laughter, though a few of the more seasoned delegates exchanged concerned glances. Let me be clear, continued Vextora. The Confederation has monitored Earth since they developed nuclear capabilities. They are resourceful, yes, but their technology remains centuries behind even our most basic military systems. Their FTL drives are primitive. Their weapons are inefficient. Their understanding of dimensional physics is laughable. Admiral Zolvor of the Confederation fleet rose from his seat, his exoskeleton clicking as he moved. Chancellor, if I may, while I agree the humans pose no military threat, their adaptability is concerning. They've advanced faster than our models predicted. Their scientific development curve is unprecedented. All the more reason to keep them at arm's length, replied Vextora. The vote will proceed as scheduled. 3 days later, the Confederation's response was delivered to Earth's United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Petition denied, with a recommendation to reapply in 100 standard years when their civilization had matured appropriately. What the Confederation failed to understand was that they weren't simply denying Earth a political position. They were challenging humanity's place in the universe, and humans had never responded well to being told they didn't belong. On Earth, in a heavily guarded facility beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, General Elena Cortez stood before the assembled leaders of Earth's united governments. The chamber was silent as holographic displays showed the Confederation's dismissive response. That's it then, said President Chung of the Pan-Asian Alliance. They've made their position clear. Again. General Cortez nodded, her expression unreadable. Then we proceed with Operation Prometheus. A murmur ran through the assembly. Operation Prometheus had been Earth's contingency plan for the past 30 years, a classified initiative that consumed nearly 20% of the planet's combined GDP without the public's knowledge. Are we truly ready? Asked Chancellor Okafor of the African Union. The Confederation is thousands of years ahead of us technologically. Cortez tapped her neural interface, and the room's displays changed to show schematics of technologies unknown to the wider galaxy. That's what they believe, she said. But there's something the Confederation has never understood about humans. When backed into a corner, we don't just adapt, we transform. The displays showed revolutionary propulsion systems, weapons platforms that defied conventional physics, and defense systems capable of redistributing energy across dimensional planes. Most importantly, they showed the crown jewel of human ingenuity, Project Aegis. For 50 years, we've presented a carefully crafted facade, Cortez continued, while openly using technology that matches their expectations of our development stage. We've been reverse engineering every piece of Confederation tech we could get our hands on, and improving it. The salvaged craft from the Rigel incident briefed President Santos of the Americas Collective, referring to the crashed Confederation scout ship that had officially been written off as a meteor strike. Among other sources, confirmed Cortez. While they were laughing at our primitive technology, we were studying their weaknesses. The Confederation's technological advancement plateaued 3,000 years ago. They stopped innovating because they believed they had reached the pinnacle. Director Wong of Earth Intelligence stepped forward. We've also cultivated relationships with numerous species excluded from the Confederation. The Eridani, the Proxima Collective, even some factions within the Confederation itself who chafe under their rule. And Project Aegis, asked Premier Volkov of the Eurasian Federation. General Cortez's eyes gleamed, operational and undetectable by Confederation sensors. 3 weeks after Earth's final petition was denied, a Confederation enforcement fleet entered the Sol system. Consisting of 12 warships, it was considered a minimal force, merely a show of strength to remind the humans of their place. Admiral Terok of the Confederation vessel Immutable Truth broadcast his message across all frequencies as his fleet approached Earth orbit. Attention, governments of Earth. The Galactic Confederation has determined your recent communications to be unnecessarily provocative. Your species has been granted the privilege of independent development under Confederation observation. This privilege can be revoked. Stand down all military operations and recommit to the non-interference protocols established during first contact. You have one planetary rotation to comply. In Geneva, the United Nations Secretary-General Chen stood before the assembled broadcast cameras of the world, her expression grave but determined. People of Earth and representatives of the Galactic Confederation. For 2 centuries, humanity has attempted to engage peacefully with the wider galactic community. We have followed protocols, respected boundaries, and sought integration through diplomatic means. Her voice remained steady as she continued. Today, we are told that our existence, our independence, our very place among the stars is a privilege that can be revoked. We reject this premise entirely. The feed switched to show orbital images of the Confederation fleet. To Admiral Terok and the Confederation, we will not stand down. We will not surrender our sovereignty. We have attempted diplomacy for 200 years. Now you will see what humanity is truly capable of. In orbit, Admiral Terok received the transmission with disdain. Predictable bravado. He muttered to his executive officer, "Begin targeted strikes on their major military installations. Minimal civilian casualties. We're educating them, not eradicating them." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "we're detecting energy signatures. Everywhere. They're unlike anything in our database." "Impossible," Terok snapped. "Their defensive capabilities are well documented." That's when the first of the Aegis platforms revealed itself. Hidden in plain sight, disguised as satellites, space debris, even asteroids, thousands of small, unassuming objects suddenly activated around Earth. The network had been decades in the making, each component individually too insignificant to trigger Confederation concern. Together, they formed the most advanced defensive grid the galaxy had ever seen. Before the Confederation fleet could fire a single shot, the Aegis network created an interlocking field of gravitational distortions, effectively freezing the attacking ships in place. From Earth's surface, millions watched the sky as 12 points of light. The Confederation warships flickered and then dimmed. Aboard the Immutable Truth, Admiral Terok stared in disbelief as his ship's systems went dark one by one. Emergency power remained, but weapons, propulsion, and communications were completely disabled. "What is happening?" he demanded. His science officer, hands flying over dead controls, could only shake her head. "They've created some kind of localized phase disruption. It's as if our ship exists partially in another dimension. We can maintain life support, but nothing else functions." A communication broke through on the emergency channel. The face of General Cortez appeared on their main screen. Admiral Terrak, your vessels have been neutralized through a targeted dimensional phase lock. Your crews are unharmed, but your ships are disabled. This technology is but one of many we've developed while you dismissed us as primitives. Terrak's mandibles clicked in agitation. This is impossible. Your species cannot possibly. The limits of possibility are something humans have never accepted. Cortez interrupted. Here are our terms. Your fleet will be escorted out of our solar system. You will return to the Confederation with proof of our capabilities. And you will inform your leadership that Earth is reopening negotiations as equals, not supplicants. As the disabled Confederation fleet was towed to the edge of the solar system by small Earth vessels, a final humiliation, the High Council on Concordia received the news with stunned disbelief. High Chancellor Vextora's tentacles coiled tightly around her command staff as she processed the report. Verify this information immediately, she ordered. It must be falsified. But as additional data streamed in, the truth became undeniable. Somehow, humanity had developed technology that the Confederation's brightest minds couldn't even comprehend. The implications were staggering. We must respond with overwhelming force, insisted Admiral Zolvor. The entire Third Fleet, at minimum. Vextora's secondary eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of deep distress among her kind. And if they have more surprises waiting? No, we need information first. Full intelligence assessment. What none of them realized was that the demonstration at Earth had been carefully calculated, powerful enough to shock, but limited enough to seem like the full extent of human capabilities. It was merely the opening move. The reckoning. The Galactic Confederation had not faced a genuine military threat in over 4,000 years. Their response to Earth's defiance revealed their inexperience with actual warfare. They dispatched their Third Fleet, a force of 100 warships, without proper reconnaissance or strategic planning. Overwhelming force had always been sufficient. Until now. 3 months after the first confrontation, the Third Fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, led by the dreadnought Eternal Dominion under the command of Grand Admiral Xar Kavosh himself, the highest military authority in the Confederation. All ships maintain formation, Xar Kavosh ordered, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the command center's lights. Deploy sensor drones to maximum range. I want complete mapping of their defensive grid before we advance. His caution came too late. Earth had used the intervening months to prepare. As the Confederation drones spread throughout the system, they encountered nothing unusual. No defensive grid, no advanced technology, just the expected planetary defenses around Earth and its colonies. This makes no sense, muttered the Admiral's intelligence officer. Where are the weapons that disabled our previous fleet? The answer came in a way none of them anticipated. From behind Jupiter's moons, from the asteroid belt, from seemingly empty space itself, a fleet emerged, a human fleet that, according to all Confederation intelligence, could not possibly exist. 73 vessels of various sizes, each utilizing technology that Confederation sensors struggled to analyze. And they weren't alone. Alongside the human ships flew vessels of unmistakable design, Eridani phase cruisers, Proximan living ships, even the distinctive spiral configurations of the reclusive Tausetians, species that had either been denied Confederation membership or had withdrawn in protest over the centuries had found common cause with humanity. Admiral Xar Kavosh stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How have they united these species? Some of them have been historical enemies for millennia. On the bridge of the Earth flagship Defiance, Admiral Helena Chen opened a direct channel to the Confederation fleet. Grand Admiral Xar Kavosh, this is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We anticipated your arrival. Before you make decisions that cannot be undone, I invite you to meet with our coalition representatives on neutral ground, the Jupiter Diplomatic Station. Come see what cooperation between equals can achieve, rather than dominance by the few. The message was bold, but what truly unsettled the Confederation commander was the fact that she had addressed him by name before he had identified himself, and had accurately assessed his fleet's strength and position. The humans had intelligence capabilities far beyond what should have been possible. After 12 hours of tense deliberation with his command staff, Kharkavosh agreed to the meeting, though not out of any diplomatic inclination. He needed time to assess this unexpected alliance and its capabilities. The Jupiter Diplomatic Station, a massive structure floating in the gas giant's upper atmosphere, harvesting valuable gases while serving as a neutral meeting ground, hosted the most unusual gathering in recent galactic history. Representatives from 17 species, most of whom the Confederation had dismissed as inconsequential, sat alongside humans as equals. Grand Admiral Kharkavosh and his delegation entered the chamber with the ingrained superiority of those who had never known defeat. That confidence quickly eroded as each coalition member presented evidence of Confederation exploitation, manipulation, and suppression of their civilizations. For 12,000 years, explained Dr. Eliana Reyes, Earth's lead diplomat, the Confederation has maintained power not through superior technology, but through carefully managed technological suppression. You provide member worlds with advancements at a pace that keeps them dependent, while restricting research into fields that might challenge your authority. Ambassador Jolan of the Eridani nodded, his bioluminescent patterns flashing in agreement. When our scientists began exploring dimensional phase technology independently, Confederation advisors were quickly assigned to our research facilities. Projects were redirected or shuttered entirely. Funding mysteriously disappeared. The same happened across dozens of worlds, added Captain T-Vex of the Proxima Collective. But then we encountered humans. Admiral Kharkavosh's crystalline features remained unreadable, but his secondary appendages twitched with growing concern. Humans approach technology differently, continued Dr. Reyes. When faced with a limitation, they don't accept it. They question it, challenge it, work around it. More importantly, they share their findings rather than hoard them for power. This coalition exists because Earth offered genuine partnership instead of dominance, said Ambassador Jolan. They shared their advances freely, asking only for cooperation in return. Kharkavosh finally spoke, his voice resonating through his crystalline form. You cannot possibly expect the Confederation to simply relinquish its authority based on these accusations. Our civilization has maintained galactic stability for 12 millennia. Stability through suppression is not peace, replied Dr. Reyes calmly. We don't seek to destroy the Confederation. We seek to transform it. Return to your leadership with our proposal for a new galactic compact, one based on genuine cooperation and shared advancement. The Admiral's inner crystals flashed danger patterns, and if we refuse. Dr. Rice's expression remained composed, but her eyes hardened. Then we will demonstrate why that would be unwise. The diplomatic overture had never been expected to succeed. Its true purpose was intelligence gathering. Throughout the meeting, specialized human technology had been mapping the Confederation fleet's communications, defensive systems, and command structures. When Grand Admiral Kharkavosh returned to the Eternal Dominion and immediately ordered his fleet to battle positions, Earth was ready. The confrontation that followed would later be called the Battle of Jupiter in human historical records, though battle suggested a more even exchange than what actually occurred. As the Confederation fleet moved to attack positions, the coalition forces simply disappeared from sensors. Confederation targeting systems found no ships to lock onto, no energy signatures to track. Where are they? Demanded Kharkavosh, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. Full sensor sweep, all spectrums. Nothing, Admiral, reported his tactical officer. It's as if they vanished. That's when the Eternal Dominion systems began shutting down. Weapons, shields, engines, all deactivated simultaneously without any detected attack. Throughout the fleet, the same pattern repeated as ship after ship went dark. On their bridges, confused and frightened Confederation crews watched as their holographic displays activated of their own accord, showing the face of Admiral Chen. Your vessels have been compromised through a targeted cyber quantum attack. We've accessed your systems through backdoors that have existed in Confederation technology for centuries. Backdoors your own leadership installed to control member worlds, now turned against you. The revelation struck at the core of Confederation authority. The idea that their technology was superior and secure had been fundamental to their power. You have two options, continued Admiral Chen. Power down completely and accept towing back to Confederation space, or we will be forced to permanently disable your vessels. You have 5 minutes to decide. Grand Admiral Sarkavosh, for the first time in his 300-year career, surrendered his fleet without firing a shot. The repercussions throughout the galaxy were immediate and profound. As news spread of the Confederation's defeat, previously suppressed worlds began openly challenging their authority. The carefully maintained hierarchy that had stood for millennia began to fracture. On Concordia, the Galactic Confederation's ruling council gathered in emergency session. High Chancellor Vex Torres' tentacles writhed with distress as intelligence reports flooded in from across the galaxy. How did we not see this coming? Demanded Councillor Thrax of the Valerian Empire. Our intelligence services monitored Earth constantly. They saw what humans wanted them to see, replied Admiral Zalvor, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. While we watched their official technology develop at the expected pace, they were building something entirely different in secret. The chamber doors opened, and a most unexpected delegation entered, humans, led by General Elena Cortez, alongside representatives from the coalition species. Their presence on Concordia itself, the most secure location in the galaxy, was the final demonstration of how completely the Confederation's security had been compromised. Esteemed Council, began General Cortez without waiting for acknowledgement, we come with a proposition, not a conquest. High Chancellor Vex Torres' primary eyes narrowed dangerously. You invade our headquarters and speak of propositions. We could have disabled Concordia as easily as we did your fleets, replied Cortez calmly. Instead, we come openly to offer a new path forward. She activated a holographic display showing a restructured galactic governance system, one where authority was distributed among representatives from all spacefaring civilizations, regardless of technological development stage or military power. Humanity doesn't want to replace the Confederation as the dominant power, Cortez explained. That model is fundamentally flawed. What we propose instead is genuine collaboration, a galactic coalition where all species contribute their unique perspectives. Ambassador Jolan of the Eridani stepped forward. For thousands of years, the Confederation has suppressed innovation that might challenge your authority. Imagine instead what we could achieve together if we combined the unique approaches of all our civilizations. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. For the oldest members, it represented the end of an era of unquestioned dominance. For others, it offered possibilities they had never dared consider. And if we refuse? Asked High Chancellor Vex Torres, though the defeat in her voice suggested she already knew the answer. General Cortez's expression remained impassive. Then humanity and our allies will proceed without you. The technologies we've developed, dimensional phase shifting, quantum entanglement communication, consciousness-directed computing, will advance regardless. The question is whether the Confederation wishes to be part of that future or be left behind by it. 6 months later, representatives from over 200 worlds, both former Confederation members and newly recognized independent civilizations, gathered on Earth for the signing of the Galactic Coalition Charter. The ceremony, held beneath the open sky in the ancient city of Alexandria, symbolized humanity's insistence on transparency and natural environments over the artificial perfection of Concordia. High Chancellor Vex Torres, now simply Delegate Vex Torres of the Ascendant Worlds, approached General Cortez after the ceremony, her movements more subdued than the confident undulations of the past. I still do not understand, she admitted, her translator conveying the complex harmonics of her native speech. How did humanity advance so quickly? Our models suggested you were centuries from these breakthroughs. Cortez smiled slightly. Your models assumed technological development follows a linear path. Humans don't think linearly. When faced with an obstacle, we don't just try to overcome it. We question why it exists, whether it can be bypassed entirely, or if the problem itself can be reframed. She gazed up at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. Your civilization reached incredible heights and then stopped climbing because you believed you'd reached the peak. We looked at the same mountain and asked if we could tunnel through instead, or build wings and fly over, or simply choose a different mountain altogether. Vextor's appendages rippled in what might have been grudging respect. And now, what happens to the galaxy now that humanity has upended the order of millennia? General Cortez's expression softened. Now we do what humans have always done when they've discovered new frontiers. We explore together. We learn from each other. We build something greater than any of us could achieve alone. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy would transform in ways none could have predicted. The integration of diverse technological approaches, human ingenuity, Eridani phase physics, Proximen organic computing, and even the refined stability of Confederation systems created advancements that would have been impossible under the old order. The humans had never wanted a seat at the Confederation's table. They had recognized that the table itself was flawed and built something entirely new instead. And the galaxy would never be the same.